You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar. I said, hey, ladies, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, ladies, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. You're welcome to drink our whiskey and smoke our really fine cigars. One more time, boys. I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna smoke a really good cigar and drink a really fine whiskey.
There you go. We are in the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're downtown Detroit. Once again, MusicTown, inside of the HockeyTown Cafe. And I'm Jamie Flanagan, along with...
My name is Matt Fox. It is so good to be back here.
Oh, my gosh. I love this place. It is the best toys.
It's comfortable.
Where do they get all those
these chairs,
toys?
these couches? You know, kind of, it's just comfortable here.
It is. It is. And today's special because we got an in-studio guest.
Yes, we do.
And Mike Forsyth from the Detroit City Distillery.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So good to meet you and have you here.
Absolutely.
We've been
Good to be
fans.
here.
We're fans, right?
Good,
And
good.
because we've
Love that.
been stalking you, and we've been hanging out in your house. And when I mean your house, I mean your bar.
I have a very good bar at the house.
I bet you do. But yeah, we're just enamored with the Detroit City Distillery. It's just such a great concept. The space itself is so cool. And then I've talked to a few people at your bar, and it's just like such a great story behind it. And I just like, we got to share this story. We got to hear about it. Mm-hmm. So the Detroit City Distillery, how long have you been doing what you've been doing here downtown Detroit?
So we just turned 4.
Okay.
So we had our 4-year anniversary just after Labor Day.
All right. So that's
Congratulations.
good.
Thank you. Thank
That's,
you. We're still here, still alive.
Yes.
Made it.
That is it. So what got you to that, hey, because there's like 5 or 6 of you guys, right?
Yeah, so there's 8 of us, actually.
There's 8 of you. What got the 8 of you to go, we should make some whiskeys?
Yeah, so it's a fun story. So there's 8 owners. I've known all the guys except one since 3 years old.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So we all grew up in a little town called Bath, Michigan.
All right.
Just north of Lansing.
B-A-T-H-E?
No, just like
B-A-T-H.
a bath.
All
Like you
right.
smell bad, take a bath.
All right.
So we all grew up in Bath, a little podunk country town. And so, we were 16-year-old country kids with nothing to do. And the way the kind of origin story started, our beer supplier left town. The internet had just been invented. I was the bad one out of the group. So left our own devices, went online to figure out how to make our own alcohol, which was... It was like the jailhouse hooch recipe. So white grape juice, yeast, and sugar.
Oh, my gosh.
My goodness.
So learned a little bit about the fermentation process.
Sure.
So, it's...
And you were 16.
Yeah, 16. Maybe 15. I think it was actually 15, to be honest. So
love that.
combine all the ingredients, screw the top on real tight, and 2 weeks, right? This is like a chemical reaction that takes place,
Right.
like producing heat and CO2.
Right.
If there's nowhere for it to go. So it exploded. Every drop all over my brown shag carpet in my bedroom.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
So,
I was going to say, did anything explode? You blew up the first batch?
Yeah.
Did you get busted?
blew up the first batch. Local regulatory shut it down for a couple weeks. Got grounded.
You got busted. Parental regulatory.
Consistent theme throughout
POS
my
stuff
high
back
school career, and so so then we moved the operation outside. We scaled it up. Slinging hooch in high school, trying to get girls, always unsuccessfully, of course. And so it inspired this pipe dream to open a microbrewery.
Okay.
And then the smart one out of the bunch, JP Jerome, who is our master distiller today, he was inspired. He's like, I'm going to go to school and learn how to make beer.
Okay.
So he made good on that promise. We all kind of went our separate ways. And so he has his undergrad is from U of M in zoology and chemical, not chemical engineering, some crazy scientific thing.
So you have a certified mad scientist in your midst.
Well, yeah, and so his first job out of school was at Bell's. So he worked at Bell's for a number of years, and then he got his PhD in microbiology at Michigan State. And so that's a kind of important moment for us. So while he was at Michigan State, he was teaching brewing and distillation for this guy, Chris Berglund.
Okay.
So Chris is the father of the craft spirits industry in Michigan. So he wrote the legislation that makes it a very favorable state to produce and sell in, and built this giant distillery off campus and started the artisan distilling program.
Oh,
it's one of the leading R&D facilities in the world for spirits. So like if Jim Beam is working on something new, they go to MSU to do it. Diageo, like some of the big boys, which is great because they pay the bills, and the little guys like us basically use it as an incubator to get started.
Right. Wow.
And so it's a very time and capital intensive business to start.
Sure.
And so JP was teaching for Chris and working at the distillery. And so we went up to a bachelor party, and JP's like, this brewery thing's been done. Let's open a distillery. I'm working at one. Mm-hmm. And so we got drunk all weekend, and it sounded like a good idea. And so as the story concludes, the distillery happened. The wedding never did. So true story. He's happily married now.
Okay.
Just had a second kid. Just moved back from Chicago to Ann Arbor. So we're happy to have him back. And
so it's like kind of a go green, no go blue. Who cares? Just drink bourbon.
Yeah, basically. Yes. Yes. Whiskey is a unifying force at Detroit City Distillery. For sure. It is a divided house.
So you have an array of whiskeys, and you have a couple things new on the horizon right now. But 4 years ago, when you opened, what did you open with? What started?
Yeah, so we had 3 spirits. So we started with what I would kind of describe as a new American whiskey, bloodline whiskey. It's 3 different types of wheat, 3 different types of barley.
Okay.
And we actually just brought that back, which we'll talk a little bit more about.
Yeah.
We had a bourbon called Two-Faced Blended Bourbon.
Okay.
So it was our bourbon, which was very young at the time, blended with a 6-year bourbon that we sourced from a place called MGP. And, there's a lot of craft distilleries out there right now that are just buying mass-produced bourbon and putting it in a fancy bottle and calling it craft. So we decided to be real honest with it because, we're from Detroit.
Right.
Yeah. And so 2 different bourbons. And it was also, if you kind of knew the industry and knew what was going on, it was kind of calling everybody out for lying about what was in the bottle.
I love that.
So just being honest, right?
Thank you for that.
It's the Detroit way. And then we had a vodka that was made from corn and barley, distilled once from scratch. Tasted like tequila. We loved it.
Okay.
Everybody else hated it. So we ended up changing the recipe.
All right.
And so that's how we started. And then we started adding gin to the mix. And then our bourbon came of age. Now that's Butcher's Cut bourbon.
Yeah.
And now we're just making basically whatever we want to drink.
Right. So
which is a lot of whiskey.
Yeah.
Right
So
now.
when you had the idea, it's like, okay, let's make this. You got to barrel it up for at least 4 years?
So
2 years, 4 years.
So this is a common misnomer that, bourbon has to be of a certain age. So bourbon by law has to be majority corn.
Yeah.
So 51% corn or more. It has to be aged in freshly charred white American oak.
Yeah.
You could technically put it in the barrel and take it out and you could call it bourbon.
Okay.
So the other theory kind of is the longer it sits in the barrel, the better it is.
Right.
So I do think there is some nuance to that, right? So,
Sure.
10 years ago, you had a bunch of old, legacy Kentucky bourbon distilleries and, bourbon could only come from Kentucky and it was only good if it was old.
Right. Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's all they had.
That was just only 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
only game in town, right? And
Yeah.
so now with the craft movement, I think folks are really starting to appreciate younger whiskey. We take a lot of pride in sourcing everything from Michigan and where we source it from. And, you taste more of the nuance of the grain when it's a little bit younger. And so if you use really good ingredients and make really good, young, smooth whiskey, you can taste a lot of the nuance and a lot of the flavor that comes with the grain itself.
Yeah.
And so, we're Detroit City Distillery. We're making it from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? It's a Detroit way.
Yes.
Right? So we're not faking it. We have to we've adopted the brand of the city for our brand. So we have to honor the standard set for American craftsmanship that comes with the Detroit name. So we're doing it from scratch.
I love it. And the bottling, I love the bottles.
Yep.
The packaging, it's very much, it's kind of Art Deco. It throws into that Prohibition era feel, with the print and the imagery and the black and white, line drawings, for the different, bottles, and each bottle has its own, caricature on it to go along.
Every spirit
with
has a story, we like to say.
Yeah. We love that.
There's
so what's the story? Is it your relative was the butcher?
So
whose relative
this
was
is
the butcher?
JP's grandfather.
That's
so
okay.
JP's grandfather, Yogi, was a butcher in Eastern Market. So that's our connection to the place where we are, right? So we have a couple places at Eastern Market actually. And so this was in honor to him, Butcher's Cut Bourbon. And we actually did a really fun thing to launch this. Our good friend Jenna Bellvender is very talented, very flirtatious photographer. And we just gave her a case of bourbon and said, go around to the butcher's shops and get the butchers drunk and take pictures.
Oh my God.
So we have some amazing photos of Detroit's very own butchers drinking bourbon on the job. It's pretty priceless.
I love that. So, that's the story on this one. So now you started with the bloodline, and then the bloodline went away for a little while.
It did.
So what was the call?
I saw that.
What was the call
I
on
saw
that?
there was. I pay attention to the socials.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I saw that Bloodlines coming on. As soon as I saw Bloodlines, it took me back to JP and just all 8 of you.
Yes.
You know, now I'm starting to understand it even more. That this is one of the originals that you guys brought.
It is.
You opened up.
Yes.
4 years ago.
Yes. So very first whiskey we ever made. We actually tasted the very first barrel we ever made at our party. 5.5 years. It's tasting pretty good.
Okay.
So Bloodline. So to answer the question, it's been a learning process for us. So, we come out with this kind of alternative American whiskey. Everybody wants to drink bourbon and rye. So, we really decided to shift focus on that, but there's really only one rule at Detroit City Distillery, and it's we make what we want to drink. And so we decided to bring it back. And, we think 4 years ago, maybe the craft spirits industry wasn't quite ready for an alternative kind of craft whiskey, but we think they are now, right?
Okay.
This is, obviously Michigan's like one of the greatest beer states in the nation, right? So everybody's exploring all these different flavor profiles and different ingredients. And
I hate them all.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Craft beer. I love the places.
Yeah.
I love, breweries. I love microbreweries and the little places. Hate the beers.
Man, you're missing out. Some good ones out there.
IPAs. I don't know. I just the hoppy. It loses me.
Yeah.
I'd much rather
hoppier the better.
Oh, see, yeah. Okay, really?
Yeah.
Right.
There's some really cool stuff going on. We actually work a lot with breweries. Obviously, JP's got a brewery background.
Yeah.
Every brewer wants our barrels, right? And so they're all trying to buy them. So we have this awesome deal where we loan barrels to brewers, and then they age beer in it, and then they give us the barrel back with some of the beer they made.
Sure.
So it keeps guys at the factory happy.
Yeah.
And then we can double barrel finish a whiskey or do some
because
weird,
like
funky
Jameson's
gin
has that whole line of the IPA beer finish and the stout finish.
Yes.
And so you're you're looking at doing those, or
we have a few experiments going.
Okay.
We always have a number of experiments going.
Right,
of course.
right.
And so we've been doing some cool stuff. Do a lot of stuff with Batch Brewery here locally in Axel, and then
Batch is just down the street.
Some folks are doing some really cool stuff on the west side, Speciation, doing all natural fermentations stuff. Really.
See, I really do enjoy a good IPA.
Yes.
I like the hoppiness, but too hoppy, I kind of shy away from, but I like hops.
Yes.
I do like a good IPA. So you and I would have a pretty wild discussion one of these days about that.
Yeah.
All right, so they loses me, but he's down with
I like the IPA.
All right, so on this label, and you did a really cool photo shoot promo for the Bloodline coming out. You had the vintage car, and that's on the label. Is there a story that goes with that illustration? Yeah,
so Bloodline is really all about honoring Detroit's roots as a place that makes things, and so
like the car.
We have a Model T, on the label. Our good folks, over at Antique Car Tours, I think is the name.
Right.
Just launched a, tour, you can actually drive around Detroit in a Model T. So we called them up and we're like, hey, will you come bring this and like load it into the distillery so we can take some pictures? So we loaded a Model A into the whiskey factory for a photo shoot. And then we were like, can we go for a ride? And so we just turn around Eastern Market,
Eastern Market in front of the train station.
And so the tagline is, we were meant to do this. It's in our blood.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's really kind of speaks to how the legacy of manufacturing is carried on in the city. And right, there's this new energy in Detroit. It's really, the city's really coming back. And so, you know. So
there's some cool Art Deco in the background on this label. It's reminiscent of like the Guardian building.
That is exactly reminiscent.
It's from the Guardian
building.
Okay,
yes.
All right. So
yes.
I was getting the
man
Guardian building
buildings apparently.
Yeah, feeling from that. So. All right. So I work in the Fisher building. I'm like, nah, it doesn't look like the Fisher. That looks more like
I
the
used
Guardian.
to work in the Guardian building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So that is very cool. So now the Bloodline, because I'm seeing you guys like everywhere in bars, at Meijer, at Kroger. I don't know Meijer, but Kroger.
Yeah. Meijer, Kroger.
I've seen you guys like I was up north,
me,
and you know you were in like little party stores up north, and I'm like, oh my god, good for them, yay, right? So. The butcher's cut is available. But what about the Bloodline? Because it's saying on the label here, it's saying for sale in Eastern Market, Detroit. So is this...
So you have to come see us to get a bottle of Bloodline.
Okay.
So that's very small batch. And that's how we started the entire business, right? You had to come to Eastern Market to buy it, right?
Yeah.
Now, butcher's cut, bourbon, railroad gin will be in Meijer probably by the end of the week, early next. It's a big deal for us. You can get our rye and vodka there as well. Get all the products at Kroger.
The gin as well.
Gin, yeah. So we've really focused on scaling up. You know, when we started at the tasting room, right? So we have this little 2,500 square foot cocktail bar with a little lab in the back.
Yeah.
And seriously space constrained. So, you know, it was really a supply side issue. We couldn't keep up with demand. Very quickly realized we need more space, so scaled up to the whiskey factory. That's what we call it. It's very explicit.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Whiskey
It's
factory.
a whiskey factory.
Yeah.
And so we scaled up over there about 2 years ago.
Right.
And so 10 times the size, got a big 500-gallon copper pot still from Bendo.
You have tours that can come through there?
Yeah, tours on Saturday.
Okay.
So you go online, DetroitCityDistillery.com, sign up online for a tour.
Right.
Talk about the history. There's a lot of great history in that building.
Yeah.
Sure. Especially as it pertains to making alcohol.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool to carry that on. Yeah. And so we do tours on Saturdays, and then we do a lot of private events there too. So until it's filled full of whiskey, we're going to keep throwing parties over there.
Hey.
Weddings, corporate events, you name it. So it's been a lot of fun. It's a very unique space.
Man, I also DJ weddings and parties. I've been doing it for 30 years.
I'm at 24, 25 years.
All right.
Myself,
so we're dying to do one there. It's like,
we'll get you on the list.
Thanks, man.
It's a cool spot.
Yeah.
I would definitely, and we want to come and revisit, because you always have, like you said, you always have something in the kettle, something going. So there's a few projects in the works. So when something new pops, you know, we'd love to come to the factory and talk more about it. But there's more on the horizon.
Yes.
We're September, end of September here.
Yeah.
October 6th.
Yep.
One of the three boys is coming out, right? We got, you have a line of bourbons coming out, Bespoke Bourbons?
Yes. Bespoke Bourbon.
And okay, so what is the story behind that? And please define bespoke for me.
Yes,
and use it properly in a sentence. I'm also an English teacher, so
okay.
But
I didn't spend a lot of time in high school.
I
going
ain't gonna critique you. So go for it.
You know,
I will.
So bespoke, bespoke for us really means a single one project.
One
right?
scope.
Yes, and it is a one-time only deal. So these are 3 single barrel bourbons. It's the only barrel we're ever going to make.
You're making me nervous.
Yeah, and when they're gone, they're gone. So this first one coming up on October 6th is probably the best one and is probably going to be the hardest to get.
Because the word bacon's in the title.
Smoked bourbon.
Oh, it's smoked? There's not bacon?
There's no bacon in it.
I just maybe I was
you
just
making shit up
while drinking it.
Maybe maybe the bespoke. I don't know. I was just excited. I was like, oh my god! It sounds, but it just sounds.
Yeah. So we just did a 30-gallon barrel.
So you said it was going to probably be the hardest to find.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be between 100 and 120 bottles.
Hopefully, I know a guy.
Yeah, well, so
Put an order in.
my suggestion is you come on October 6th
Yeah.
and grab a bottle, maybe two.
Wow.
What time do I need to get in line?
Yes. So the thing too is, so the packaging we did for him was really cool.
Is it like etched on the glass?
Yeah, so it's printed on the glass, and so there's an image that spans across all three bourbons.
Yes.
So it's a farm scene. So
Okay.
this is
That's
really
awesome.
for us, kind of paying homage to the origins of whiskey, which is the farm, right? Because we all kind of grew up as farm boys, and so those are the things we really care about. So there's some really good 2-row oak smoked barley that Pilot Malt House did for us back in the day. Pilot Malt House is actually not around anymore. So this is a whiskey we couldn't even recreate if we tried.
Oh, wow. Right.
So it has a really nice subtle smokiness to it. Rounded out very, very well. Corn, rye, so it's got a little bit of spice and
How
smoke
old's it
to
gonna
it. So it'll be 2 years.
Okay.
When it goes in the bottle. Coming up in a couple weeks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's
You're
time
3
going?
weeks out, man.
Yeah.
TikTok.
And so we actually have a lot of stuff going on the
gotta
first
look at my
week
calendar
of
for October 6th.
October. So October is
Saturday.
also Cocktail Classic. So that is Detroit's cocktail party for a week.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we have a couple really cool collaborations going on. I guess I can talk about it. I guess it's public. So we're actually doing a couple gin collaborations. We did one with Otis Supply up in Ferndale. Developed like a really beautiful kind of spice forward gin. So they're coming to take over the distillery. We're going to have live music, which is
The built out
the
location?
The tasting room.
Tasting
Yep.
room. Okay.
I'll tell you.
So
The-
Otis
the
Supply's coming
They're
in.
in
on-
Eastern Market.
Yep.
All right.
Right in Eastern Market. Otis Supply's coming in October 2nd to launch a gin.
That's a
Got a really
Wednesday.
good live band going.
Is that a Wednesday?
That's a
Is
Tuesday.
that a Tuesday? Okay.
And then the third last word from Ann Arbor is coming down to take over the bar.
Okay.
And we're going to be joined by Robin Cleveland, who makes Norden Aquavit with us. Norden
Nice.
is one of the bartenders who used to work at the Last Word. So bartender converted to a distiller.
Wow. Okay.
So bring our boys in from Ann Arbor, which should be fun. Thursday, we're doing gin dinner with Chef Tom Lentz over at the Foundation Hotel. So we actually made a gin with Tom, which is spectacular. So we'll be doing a gin for Foundation. Then Friday is a grand tasting over in Eastern Market, which is many, many great brands being represented by many great bars.
That's this Friday.
That is Friday, October 4th.
4th.
5th,
Okay. So
5th, October 5th.
Got it. Yep.
And then October 6th, you can come and get one of these bespoke bourbons at our place.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So,
Or come on a tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
so October 1st through the 5th, through the 6th, it's just going to be nothing but cocktails. That's your bourbon week.
Yes.
It's bourbon.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
Bourbon
like
week.
stuff going on at like
Cocktails,
10 different
bourbon,
places.
Yeah.
gins. You got, Two James, Valentine. Then you have some of the big brands coming in. Heaven Hill, Deep Eddy's doing some stuff. I mean, you name it. It is going to
Woodford
be.
has a dinner
Yeah,
going on.
Woodford.
And,
Grey Ghost is doing a lot of stuff. Those are some of our favorite guys to work with. So
Nice.
a lot of cool stuff happening in the cocktail scene in Detroit.
now, each one of these things you mentioned, because you mentioned Otis, which is a really cool place,
Yeah.
and then the Foundation, which is a really cool space. But the tasting room is a really, really cool space.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the Eastern Market roots, because part of the building that the tasting room is in
We used to be
was
the
one of the
butcher
butcher places.
Yeah, it used to be Old Slaughterhouse.
Yeah. So that, so that works in so well with
So
the
it
butcher's
really,
cut.
one of the things when the bar itself,
Yes.
the actual bar,
Yes.
you found that.
We did.
Where did you find that? You
So
found that.
we found that in a vacant storefront on Broadway Street. Ironically, right next door to Henry the Hatter, who just moved in next door to us in Eastern Market.
Yeah.
So someone in the universe is watching out for good things landing in Eastern Market.
Yeah.
So
because the
and
bar,
it feels like it was in the space the entire time.
it really does. It fits
Yeah.
perfectly, but you had to cut the thing in half to get it in there. Did you?
Yeah,
not?
yeah. It was
Yeah.
it was an interesting transport. All the boys at the recycling center here in Detroit helped me muscle that in. And then we just found another really beautiful bar in a carriage house in Indian Village.
Okay.
Really?
Which is now upstairs in the Rick House at the Whiskey Factory.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that actually came from Herman's Saloon in Southwest Detroit. But always really zany, weird ways of finding these old bars.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a piece of art is really what
It
it comes
really
down
is,
to.
yeah.
You know,
It really
and it
is.
fits in that space so well. And the space itself, it's just, it's brick wall and it's the Art Deco stuff that you have coming from the ceiling. One of the chandeliers, you just get mesmerized by looking at it.
Yes.
You know, it's just a great spot.
Thank you. Thank you.
It really is.
Well, and then the things coming across the bar
Yes.
are little pieces of art
Yeah.
Oh my
as
gosh.
well, because the craft cocktails, it's the mixes are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's we were just enjoying. My wife and I came to just kind of do a little recon. We're checking it out, and she's very particular, and she's like, "Oh my god, I can come back here." She goes, "I love this." And she's like, if she's like doesn't like it, she'll be like, "Screw that, you go back on your own," you know. And she's like, "Oh no, we're coming back here, and we're bringing friends." And I'm like, "All right, I'll let them know." So the craft cocktails that you're making, there are some very unique recipes.
Yes.
Where are you coming up with the recipes for the mixes?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about being an Eastern market. So everything is right at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So whatever we feel like making, whatever's in season, we just call up our friends at Detroit Wholesale and they literally bring it down the block.
Right.
It doesn't show up in a truck. They like bring it down on a forklift. So yeah, so the bartenders, you know, we've been fortunate to have a lot of really great bartenders over the years and they've come up with some great drinks and you know, there's always some inspiration, song or a band
Right,
or a girl or a boy or
Sure.
whatever. So, and it's always fun naming them.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. What are some of your favorite? What's one or two of your favorite
So-
cocktails at the bar?
One of my favorites, and I would say I share this with many of our faithful fans, is the Rye on Fire.
Okay.
So that
I
is
think
our
we did try that.
yeah, that's our rye whiskey. It has a mango habanero syrup that we
Yes.
made,
Okay.
lemon, ginger, and honey.
Yeah.
We're actually canning that cocktail
Oh.
for Eastern Market After Dark,
Okay.
which is coming up this
Very soon.
Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
this
is like
Thursday.
the biggest party of the year,
Yeah, yeah.
especially for us.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites. And then, you know, that's kind of a new cocktail that we made. And then, you know, I like the classics too. I'm kind of a dark and boozy guy. So I like Negronis with our barrel-aged gin is really good. You know, I like old fashions. The Bloodline makes a spectacular old fashioned.
Okay.
Manhattans, those sort of things. Really good. We make a really, really good last word with our Peacemaker gin,
Okay.
which actually has white pine and blue spruce from my family farm. So I planted the pine trees about 30 years ago now. And so yeah, so it's
That's-
cool because, you know, we try to, you know, develop cocktails that highlight the spirits and
Yeah.
then, you know, you get to try them in some standards and some classics and kind of see how the whiskeys and the gins really shine through.
It's
So
nice you're willing to
fun with
share some of the recipes too, because
Yeah.
there were like some coasters with the recipes on
it.
them.
Oh yeah.
And so it's neat because when you take it home, you can kind of try to replicate it.
Yeah.
You don't have as fresh of ingredients,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's amazing. So the ingredients are important. So what are the ingredients in the bespoke, right? You got
Yes.
the 3 coming out. So what's the difference between the 3? What's on
Yeah,
the
so
horizon?
the first one's a smoked
Okay.
bourbon, right? So that the focal point of that is that 2-row oak smoked barley and then corn, of course. Right, corn's the main ingredient for bourbon, so that cuts across, and then some rye in the smoked, and then we have a 4-grain bourbon, which is probably my favorite.
Okay.
So that is corn, wheat, rye, and barley.
All right.
And then we have what I'm calling red bourbon, which is a bourbon finished in a red wine barrel.
Wow.
So that's our Butcher's Cut bourbon, finished in a red blend of Merlot cab barrel, which actually, so this is, we did a little partnership with Fieldstone Winery up in Rochester. So we sent them a bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
They aged the wine in it, and then they send it back to us, and then we aged the bourbon in it.
Right.
Okay.
So a lot
like a
going on in that
cross-contamination
barrel.
of
So
really
really
great stuff happening
beautiful red hue, and you get some, you know, there's some like plum and blackberry that kind of hints through the nose,
Okay.
and then that balances really well with the spice from the rye. So
Yeah.
that one's a really beautiful one. And so
So-
that's, you know, that one will have about 240 bottles because that's
That's
a
the
full
second one?
53-gallon barrel.
That's the second one that's coming
That's
out?
the third one. That'll
Third
be
one,
out in
okay.
December.
Okay.
4th grain will be out in November.
All right. So Bloodline, what is? Let's crack it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right, and then so tell us what's the mash bill on this, right? What's going on in the Bloodline?
Yeah, so that is 60% wheat. It is, and that's 3 different types of winter wheat. And then there is 30% raw barley, 33% raw barley, and then there's a little bit of 2 different specialty roasted malted barleys. Wow. So that is specialty malts are like the secret sauce of craft beer.
Okay.
And so that's one thing that JP brings with him from the beer world. And so it really helps elevate the flavor and nuance of some of the grain. Right. So we have a caramelized barley malt in there. And that's not a caramel flavor. It is, like when you caramelize something, like, bring the sugars out by toasting it.
Okay.
And so really beautiful sweetness to this. You'll notice when you drink this, there's some really nice butterscotch and chocolate notes to it. This is like a really rich, flavorful whiskey.
Just to take that original whiff of it.
Yeah.
I got that butterscotch almost immediately. Because when you said it and I smelled it, it was like, it was a bam. It was right there.
Yeah. And we were drinking this with Chef Tom a couple days ago, and so he's like, this smells like fresh green coffee beans, and there's a little hint of green pepper to it, which is what I mean, he's a Michelin star chef, so the guy's got
You're like,
the most
okay,
amazing
he's
nose
got a
possible.
palate. He's got a palate.
So it's always interesting to see how different people react to it.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really, really smooth.
Yes. And this is only, 18 to 24 month old whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So really fresh, like best possible local ingredients. We get most of the stuff through a place called Dexter Mill.
Okay.
Right outside of Ann Arbor.
Right.
Good friends of us just down the street from our distiller JP. And yeah, so it's just really good Michigan grain, makes really good whiskey. Michigan should be one of the best places to make whiskey from now into the future, right? So you have the second most diverse agricultural state in the nation, surrounded by a vast percentage of the world's fresh water. So you have all the right ingredients in place to make a really amazing whiskey.
And then from what... Yeah, because the reason behind the podcast is because I really enjoy whiskeys and bourbons, but I don't know a lot. Yeah. And so that's what we try to find out, because I'm not Tony and Patrick. They're,
from the Michigan Bourbon
they know
Club.
a thing or two.
Yeah. But I don't. And so I'm trying to learn. But from what I understand, temperature has a lot to do with it while the whiskey ages. And being in Michigan with the temperature swings that we get.
Yes.
That's probably going to work in our favor too, to make some interesting blends coming out of the barrels.
Yeah. So, we're in a almost 100-year-old giant factory with airy windows. And so, up on the second floor in the Rick House, right? Like today's a perfect example, right? It's hot.
It's hot. Yeah.
During the day, we're also cooking about 2,000 gallons plus at any given time. So it's pretty hot
much hotter
during the day, and then it cools down at night, right? So when it's hot, the liquid expands, and when it's cold, it contracts. So it's working in and out of the oak in the barrel, and the char that's inside the barrel lets the whiskey get in and interact. And so, it's really whiskey at work. And so that temperature differential is a very important part of aging whiskey over time.
Right.
How many barrels? How big is the rick house that you have in the warehouse? How many barrels we have? What's your capacity and where are you at right now?
That's good. I'd like to figure out.
Okay.
I'd like to figure that out. That'd be great. I'd love to have it full of whiskey. Yeah. We have about 200 barrels laid down right now, I'd say. So, it's a pretty small operation. We really just started producing at scale 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so, you guys have been to the tasting room before. It's tiny.
Yeah.
It was like Tetris to make whiskey in that place. And so
It was so good. I don't care.
yeah, no, exactly, right. Well, it was very much a handcrafted process.
Yes.
And so
still
yeah,
get the
so
butterscotch.
we have plenty of room to grow over there. We're laying down about 4 barrels a week right now. That's one shift. Earlier in the year, we were pulling 2 shifts and laying down 7 to 8 barrels of whiskey a week, which is about all we could do.
Right.
So are you in there mixing and barreling
No,
and bottling, or how many of you 8 guys are actively involved?
Yeah, so JP and I are the guys doing it every single day.
Yeah.
And so we just have 3 folks working on production, and they're working from sun up to sundown. And yeah, and I mean, you just kind of, you're cooking grain and fermenting mash and firing up the still.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we just added a couple pieces of equipment that are gonna amp up our production by a couple barrels a week, which we're excited about. So yeah, we're just, it's a small team on the production side, and then JP is kind of operations. He's making whiskey every day, and I'm doing everything else: marketing, sales, packaging. I've been doing a lot of packaging lately. We got all these fun little one-off projects that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then, we have a great team. Obviously, a lot of very talented bartenders.
Where do the bartenders come from? Because when you bring a bartender in, you would kind of allow them free range to create a concoction.
Yes.
Right.
I think they're almost required to come up with a new one every month or something. Or
I mean, we always encourage creativity. And so where do bartenders come from? Good question. Everywhere. And so,
where are you stealing your bartender?
Yeah, right. So, it's a very tight industry here in Detroit, right? And so, as the industry grows, you have all these amazing new bars and restaurants opening. It's probably more bars and restaurants. Like, restaurant growth is outpacing population growth. So, there's a shortage, but we've had a really good team for a really long time. We've had folks like Garrett Pasiak, who's worked at almost every bar in Detroit ever. Great, just, he's everybody's favorite bartender. You guys got a great set of regulars.
Which bartender? And I sorry to interrupt, but which one of your bartenders, your mixologist, created the cautiously caffeinated, or is it unconsciously caffeinated? Do you remember
that? Yep, I do remember that. That was Chuck.
Was that
Glass.
Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck started as our bar manager. He came over from Sugar House to join and kind of launched the distillery with us.
Right.
I mean, it's coffee and bourbon. It's like my 2 favorite things.
So
when we sampled it, when we tasted that before, I drank it so quickly. I think I just woke up like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or fell asleep 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh
So man,
good.
there's good ones, and then then there's folks like Joseph Dopke. He was a DJ. He was an artist. He was actually DJing in our space. He's like, I want to learn how to bartend. And he just brings a completely different level of creativity and excitement to the game. And so we just have a really talented crew. Elise, our bar manager, but people move on, right? So Elise, our bar manager, is actually starting grad school in New York.
Good for her.
This week's her last week, so come in and say your farewells to her. She's been
This Thursday's going to be kind of a going away party for her then.
She's been incredible. And then Lee Payne joined us. He was a market guy. He's working at Sapinos and some other places in the market. And Lee's a spectacular human being, and it's just a great crew. It's like, when you grow up, it's like, you're supposed to have a barber. And I believe you're also supposed to have a bartender, that you always regularly go see. And so we have some really good ones. And I like it because, we wanted to develop, build a business and build a place that everybody felt comfortable in.
Sure.
Right. So there's a little, there's every flavor of the rainbow behind the bar. And so you see that in the crowd that's there. Right. And it's not pretentious. Everybody feels comfortable.
It's dog friendly.
It is dog friendly.
Yeah.
One of the things that Jamie pointed out when we were there last, he's like, do you see what's happening here? And it took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking at the crowd, and he's like, what's missing?
What's missing? What is not in?
And I'm looking at him, I'm like, I can't tell. He's like, nobody has their phones out.
Yeah.
People were actually talking to one another.
Yes.
And there's not a TV in the place.
Not a television in the place.
No.
So, it is very, people friendly. You just go in there and you just relax and have a great conversation.
Put down damn technology
Yeah.
and talk to some human beings with great beards.
Yes. Well, we really have crappy cell reception in there anyway, so it doesn't really work.
Right on. So people just gave up.
Yeah, and it's very bare bones, right? So I wanted to develop a bar that was essentially, the place I wanted, which was a dive bar with really good spirits.
Yeah,
And so-
but people want food, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
we got to get back to this too. But so the cocktails coming across the bar are just amazing. There's so many unique and special things, and they're changing all the time.
Yeah.
But then you've started doing these pop-up kitchens.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing happening now.
Are
It's
the
not
geisha
just
girls
not
married?
just the food trucks,
I
but
don't think so.
you got chefs without a home basically, and they're going to different places and they're cooking in different places.
Yes.
And we're talking about the geisha girls
Geisha
were there
girls, yeah.
the night we were there.
The sushi that they brought out.
There was is it a Filipino night?
Yeah, Cucina's tonight, Jay Marietta.
That was the night Colleen and I went. And she's like super fussy. Loved the food. She's like, oh, we're bringing people here. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
Marietta
So-
don't play.
yeah. So what do you do with the food?
So I actually used to be the small business director for the city of Detroit. So I used to work for the mayor while I opened my own small business. And so, for me, it's kind of a mi casa su casa sort of thing. You want to give a platform to all these up and coming entrepreneurs to show their craft and, hopefully make a little bit of money in the process. And it's a great thing for us. Food keeps people around for longer and we have something really good to eat all the time. So Jay and Marietta were actually two of our best customers. Marietta is a very talented cook. She originally hails from the Philippines, so it's a really amazing home
authentic.
cook, like
Authentic.
kind of Filipino street food.
Yeah.
And then the Geisha Girls are on Wednesday slinging delicious
Oh my gosh.
sushi.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
comfort sushi.
Oh.
I was never a big sushi guy until I had sushi about 15 years ago, started getting back into it, but then I had the Geisha Girls
Yeah.
and I became the biggest fan.
Yeah.
And so we have a new group coming in, Iria Occasions, on Fridays. So it's what I would kind of describe as island fare.
Mhm.
They made a shrimp and lobster po' boy that I still think about it. I ate it like 2 months ago. Blew my mind.
Okay.
It is incredible. And they definitely they're big around town, and we'll have a couple more coming up as well. And Saturday you come down, check out Easter Market, you buy a bunch of food, but you come in and start drinking a lot of cocktails and lose the rest of your Saturday.
Yeah.
Bobian Foods is right next door, so they deliver. You can just text and they'll bring you over food. It's a very dangerous situation after a couple of Bloody Marys. So it's good. Yeah, we like to work with other people.
But that's nice, and you don't have to have a kitchen, right?
No.
And you don't have to do all that.
That's not the idea.
Yeah. So that's because a kitchen is. I mean, it's important for a bar,
Right.
But it's a.
The amount of food truck,
Sometimes
the
it's
food
a
truck industry
wash,
that's
you know,
coming
as
into
far
Detroit
as-
right now,
Yeah.
you're taking advantage of that. The partnerships that you're creating there,
Yeah.
it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, we have a very small prep kitchen that works completely fine for that sort of stuff. A lot of it's prepped in commercial kitchens off-site and brought in and that
Right.
sort of stuff. And so it's good. Running a bar is hard enough. I don't want to run a restaurant too.
Yeah.
And so the distillery is like 5 businesses in one. So adding a restaurant to the mix is not in our future anytime
And
soon.
you don't want to get away from your craft, which
Exactly.
is creating
Yes.
a concoction, a whiskey, a gin, a rye that is
Yeah.
going to be fun to drink.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I'm still getting butterscotch. I'm
Yeah.
still getting butterscotch from the bloodline.
It's
Yes.
green when afterwards. I wouldn't have called it green pepper.
Yeah.
It's just I don't have that. People. Oh, it's pencil shavings, and they actually. Sam, seriously, Sam's here too. Sam's still here hanging out. Sam Nork, but Sam can't drink anything yet. No. So one day, Sam will ply you with bourbon. But
Yeah, your 21st is going to be wild. Let's just say.
so it's like people. Oh, it's burnt erasers and pencil shavings, and it's like they come up with all these flavors and things. I'm like, oh, it tastes a little green to me. It's like not bad green, but just a fresh green.
Yeah.
And that chef said, oh, green pepper and light this, and I'm like, okay, I'm not that advanced. And something else we found in our discussions with
Please.
people has just been, should you put ice in it? Should you water it down?
Sure.
Should you mix it? And the one guy from Tandu,
Yes.
he was like, drink it the way you like it.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that.
You know,
statement.
if you want to cut it with water, cut it with water. If you want to, throw ice, you want to drink it straight, drink it straight. You know, and you guys and the mixes you guys do are just
One thing we did learn,
raved,
though,
but
I like personally, I will add an ice cube or a couple drops of water to something, but I always have to try it neat first.
Yes.
Because that's where you get the biggest flavor.
Yes.
And then you can tone it down if you need to
Absolutely.
expand it that much more.
Absolutely.
So, but the bloodline neat right now is blowing my mind.
Good.
Yeah,
It
I'm
really
good.
is.
Good.
So, and again, you guys are things on the horizon, looking at things. What are have you had anything that just like failed? Anything besides the first one that blew up in your bedroom?
Yeah. Well, I would
what other fails
I would say
have you
the
had?
first. Well, so everybody likes something different.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So our first batch of vodka we ever made.
Yeah.
So I would say 9.8 out of 10 people hated it.
Okay.
And so we submitted it to the American Distilling Institute Craft Spirits Competition. It won third best craft vodka in the nation. It got 2 perfect scores, and everybody else failed it and was like, this is not vodka. And somehow that ended up third. And so, and
The Russian judge.
Right.
yeah, well, probably. I mean, it just
Oh yeah, vodka, Russian judge.
it just had too much flavor, right? The more times you distill something,
Yeah.
the less flavor you're going to have.
Okay.
And vodka, you distill to such a high proof, right? You're distilling it to like 95+% alcohol. So there's very little room left of any actual flavor.
Right.
Right. So it's essentially pure alcohol.
Right.
And so, for us, having something that was distilled once from scratch, like it actually had a little bit of like almost like cloudy flavor to it. It tasted like tequila, which I really love.
Right.
The bartenders all loved it. But everybody wanted a more traditional, super clean vodka, right? So now it's 100% corn. It's distilled 7 times. So it's got a subtle sweetness to it, silky smooth out of the freezer. But, we also proofed it at 88 proof because we don't know what the point of is, having a cocktail you can't taste anything in.
Right.
Right. So it's a little bit more powerful.
Get lit. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, it's a little bit more powerful, but
Did I use that word incorrectly, Sam?
No, you used it right. It's
Oh,
just
fair
weird.
play. Oh, okay. she's our check for the lingo.
yes. Yes.
So some flavor in it.
Yeah,
You gotta
so it
leave
has some flavor in it. And, Tito's is 100% corn, 6 times distilled. So, it's a similar thing. I think, a lot of folks are, appreciate some of the nuances of it. They appreciate that it's Michigan made, that sort of stuff. And, a lot of folks now too, I think vodka drinkers in particular, are starting to explore gin.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
That's the next evolutionary step.
yes.
Because I love my bourbon. I
Yes.
truly do. But it's time to start expanding my palate a little bit
Yes.
more. So I
Or
actually
bourbon. Duh.
we gonna fight?
No, but you're going to
But yeah.
expand your palate.
I want to expand my palate just that much more.
Yeah.
Just one more thing that I can try. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't.
Yes.
So I need to keep trying something.
Gin is, there's an infinite number of possibilities for gin. And so we're 2 blocks away from Germac, a 100-year-old spice company. It's like our candy store. So we walk in and we're like, what do we want to turn into alcohol today? And so, even,
And a lot of that's Michigan sourced.
oh yeah, a ton of it is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, even the first edition of the gin we did with Chef Lance, we actually drove to a farm and I picked botanicals by hand and then we distilled them over the next couple days. So he was doing a dinner out at Seedling Farm in South Haven. And so we went to the farm and picked some botanicals. And so, some interesting stuff, that was actually farmed, some stuff that was growing wild. And, now every time I grew up in the country, so now I walk around and I'm like, I wonder if I could turn that into gin. So that's like kind of the fun thing.
It's coming in
I'm
with
like
dandelions
eating it,
and
and
violets.
smelling it. And so gin is fun. Gin is a lot of fun. And the one lucky thing about starting up really small and undercapitalized is we started with a really small still. We started with a little 50-gallon pot still which is like a little gin machine.
It's still there, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still make gin on it.
Yeah.
And so it's really good for making small experimental gins. And we'll typically distill each ingredient by itself. It's called fractional distillation. So you kind of optimize each ingredient and then you blend them together to kind of
cool.
figure out the exact recipe. So yeah, so we still use it. I mean, it very much is a lab. You know, that's how I describe it in the back now. So we do a lot of experimenting back there with gin. So the fun kind of science.
Yeah.
Not as cool as English, but
Fast forward for me real quick.
Yeah.
5 years from now.
Yeah.
Detroit City Distillery.
Yes.
Where are we going to be?
Good question. So, you know, we'd love to be a household name throughout Michigan. We'd love to be on every shelf of every bar and every liquor store in Michigan, right? So we're really trying to take care of home first.
Sure.
This year's a really big focus on full-on state takeover in Michigan, which is going quite well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we'll be expanding into several other probably urban markets throughout the nation. So we're in California right now. We'll be in Chicago down in Q1 of next year.
Wow.
Probably New York, the latter half of next year as well. And so, you know, the Detroit brand is just, people feel connected to it, whether they're from here or not, because, you know, it means something and there's history. And
There's people in California that are saying, I'm from Detroit, but I moved out here for work or what have you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks left Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now that Detroit is starting to come back, they're starting to feel more connected to it.
People want to taste the home.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it's the, you know, same model with, you know, that Shinola has applied. You know, they have obviously way more money than we do, but, you know, and we're just 8 guys. None of us are rich. We're just hustling and trying to outwork everybody.
You got to take care of home first, like you said.
And so, so, you know, it's really a business. You know, a lot of folks, you know, nowadays are, you know, trying to develop the next Tito's and sell it to, you know, Constellation or Diageo or whatever. But, you know, we're just really trying to make a really good product, do what we love. I mean, I get to wake up every day and go make whiskey with all my best friends. It doesn't really get any better than that. So we're not really trying to build a business to sell it as quickly as possible. Yeah, you guys can come in and hang out.
For sure. We've been in a handful of times in the tasting room, and we'll definitely be back. Yeah. Oh man, I could just talk all night.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I can too. So especially after a couple more of these. So be careful.
So yeah, Detroit City Distillery, Eastern Market, downtown Detroit.
So it's downtown Detroit. There's some things like Bloodline you can only get if you come to the distillery or the factory, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
What else is exclusive right now? Picking up at the
so the Bespoke Bourbon series, you'll have to come to the tasting room to get it. You'll probably be able to get it on 1 or 2 tours. I don't know how long it's going to last. I have no idea.
Wow.
I have no idea what the demand is going to be. So the Bespoke Bourbon will be a classic type of super limited edition release. Like, you got to be there to get it. And you can get 2 bottles.
What time do you open on the 6th?
Yeah. So it'll be 6 o'clock.
6
a.m.
Event
will kick off at 6 o'clock.
a.m.
Yep. And we got the Whiskey Charmers coming in and playing that night.
I'm in, man.
So that'll be,
I think
great music, great food.
Correct me if Jamie, you have a gig on the 6th.
At night in Ann Arbor.
And I have a gig on the 6th in the area. I think we're going to be in line.
I'll be down.
Good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'd have it no other way.
So what about if someone, because again, you know, the interweb, you know, word gets out.
Yeah.
Can people order from other places? Can you do deliver? Do you do internet?
So so if you go onto our website, so we actually distribute online in 42 states.
Okay.
So there's a little purchase link on the website. You can go to a couple different places to order it online.
Okay.
Woods here in Grosse Pointe actually ships.
Okay.
Which is, they've been great to us. And
the Woods, is that the one just north of 8? It used to be a drive-through, or which?
No, that's off of Mac, I believe.
Okay.
Woods Fine Wines.
Okay. Oh, Woods Fine Wines. All right.
Gotcha.
All right.
And so yeah, there's multiple ways to get it. For sure.
So if somebody out of Michigan, because you said in California right now, but not very many other places, but if somebody's looking for it, they could go to your website.
Yeah, you can get bourbon and rye and gin, vodka online, almost everywhere in the U.S.
Right.
If you're looking for it. But the little one-off single barrel series, you got to come see us.
Yeah.
That's how we want it.
So I'm not blowing sunshine up your ass or anything, but the tasting room is just a really, really cool space.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I mean, because there's places I don't like. It was like Colleen, and we left, and I didn't know what was happening tonight, so I brought a few bottles, and I brought a little bottle of the Butcher's Cut.
Yeah.
At home, we have some of the vodka. She bought and she didn't do that because we were at another local distillery, and she's like, I'm not going to clean my brakes with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she's fussy.
Yeah.
Right. And but we were leaving. She's like, you're buying me a bottle before we go. Nice. And so we got that in the cabinet at home.
That's great.
So yeah, we got it when we were down there. So, but,
nice. You should come out this Thursday.
I
Easter Market After Dark. It is wild.
It's Meet the Teacher night. So I'll be with parents till about 9:00. Well, what time does it go till?
So it sounds like the perfect reason to come out after that.
It might actually. It's brutal. Yeah. Beat the Teacher night.
Yes.
It is like, it's more like Beat the Teacher night. It's
Right.
like, oh my God.
I'm looking at my calendar right now
I'm
for
like,
Thursday.
Can you
and
tell
I'm like,
Can you tell me everything wrong with my child? Where do you want me to start? I would be here all night.
Yeah. Can you tell me? No. Yeah. So, but Thursday night's it's a pretty big event down there.
Yeah, so it's a party across all of Easter Market. So all the artists come out after dark and everybody's having a party. It's a really cool night to experience the market. Very different than you would experience the market on a classic Saturday.
Yeah.
So if we were to show up at say 7:30, 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
Party.
We go till 4 a.m.
go to 4. Okay. I'll
Maybe I
see
might-
Jamie at 9
I might have a
p.m.
sick
that
day.
evening.
I might be looking for a sick day.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
No, Sam knows. Sam was one of my students. She's like, he doesn't take sick days.
Yeah, you do.
Now.
And now we know why.
Yeah. Oh, I think he was podcasting.
He was making something. Pod, was it?
Mr. Flanagan, are you drunk? No, I'm hungover. It means I was drunk
Yesterday. Iconic.
Did that actually
Best
happen?
teacher ever.
Did that actually happen?
No.
That's a school rock
Yeah.
quote.
Right.
Yeah. We live our lives through movie quotes and song lyrics. So.
Nice.
Oh, so online, right? It's just DetroitCityDistillery.com.
That's right.
Easy peasy.
Yeah,
man.
easy.
So, oh my God, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
I just and thanks for the pour.
Yeah,
I
appreciate it. Anytime.
I was actually going to ask, can I have another pour?
Yes, absolutely.
And so Annie, again, one of my former students over there too, and Ryan running stuff here at MusicTown inside HockeyTown.
Thanks, guys.
downtown
Really
Detroit.
appreciate
yes,
it.
thank you for
guys
spending
are
your
awesome.
Tuesday night with us. Anybody bourbon's pouring? Anybody up for a taste? Come on over. I think we're going to wrap it, and we're going to enjoy the rest of this incredible Bloodline whiskey. And yeah, so gentlemen, thanks for hanging
Cheers.
out, and then
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure.